Well, after the conviction, the countdown to July 11th is now underway as the country waits to hear how the former president of the United States will be sentenced. Trump's lawyers are already preparing to appeal the verdict. I want to bring in trial and defense attorney Misty Marris, who's been closely following this trial with us throughout the last several weeks. So, Misty, if I remember correctly, when we spoke yesterday before the conviction, you were skeptical of a conviction. Do I have that right? Were you surprised by the result?
So Jim, you know what? I thought there was a high possibility that it could be a hung jury, that not everyone would be sold. And I thought that because, of course, the issue of Michael Cohen and his credibility and whether or not the jury took his account into and put all that weight of the evidence on it. But once they said that the jury was returning a verdict yesterday, I thought, it's definitely a conviction.
So let me ask your response now, because you've heard the arguments and we're hearing it all day from virtually every Republican lawmaker, that this was a long shot, it was a stretch, it was an esoteric little corner of the law that hasn't been tried before. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, look, it's a legal theory that is novel. However, Alvin Bragg was able to put it together, and the district attorney was able to do so by utilizing, of course, the falsification of business records statute, which is a commonly used statute, in conjunction with the New York State election law, and then showing the unlawful means by several different areas that the jury did not have to actually agree upon. That's not abnormal in the criminal law or abnormal in New York law. So while it is a novel theory that absolutely will be tested on appeal, I don't think it should be described as esoteric or something that is truly a stretch.
All right, so this is a Class E felony, the lowest level of felony in the state of New York. Yeah, I almost hate mentioning this, the maximum penalty, because it ain't going to happen, but the maximum penalty per count is 4 years. Other options are probation, home confinement, a fine. What is the most likely sentence that Trump might face in this, or the range of sentences?
So it could be anything from probation to a suspended sentence. That would mean no jail time. Many first-time offenders under this statute, if they're sentenced to jail time, it's under a year. The idea that it would be 4 years is really not realistic, because there's various factors and there's standards that are set in New York. There are guidelines, and the judge is going to look at those guidelines, and obviously, I'm sure he's grappling with this, how to handle a case like this, because there's so many implications beyond the courtroom. But what the judge is going to do, he's going to look at how other defendants who have been convicted under similar circumstances with this particular charge, falsification of business records, and what those penalties have been. I think it's very unlikely that we actually see jail time, but that doesn't mean there couldn't be some conditions attached. For instance, if you commit another crime in the interim, maybe some restrictions or approvals on leaving the state. So it's still serious, even if jail time is not what ends up happening.
His team has already said it's going to appeal. What's our best understanding of the timeline for appeal in this case?
So appeals take a really long time in New York. I have a few pending for years, but
Wow.
The way that it happens, yeah, absolutely. So the appeal, next step would be the appellate division. If the appellate division declines, then you go to the Court of Appeals. If the Court of Appeals says no, denies the appeal, then there's the possibility of asking the Supreme Court to look into it. That timeline, Jim, is a really, really long timeline. I'm not aware of any way to expedite it, but I'm sure they're looking into how to do so.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to have any resolution on the appellate issues before the election.
But wait, how could the Supreme Court pipe in on a state case?
So if it goes to the Court of Appeals, there's actually a mechanism where the defense can ask the Supreme Court if they will look into it. A lot of times they decline. Then there's the possibility of seeking federal relief, but you have to exhaust all the remedies in the state first before you can even get into that federal area.
Understood. Misty Marris, thanks so much.
Thank you.